Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy,
I'm the Gooch.
the Gooch.
Yeah.
God, I forget where that's from.
Different strokes.
Oh, we're so old.
Maybe you are.
You're older than me.
I highly doubt I'm older than anyone on the internet.
That's a good point. But I'm Duke, he's Larry, and we're going to talk some wrestling and get right into it because Larry's coming off some stuff. And we just want to knock this one out of the park and complain, and then also talk about what we're excited about. So, you want to get to the complaints first?
Yeah, well, since it's 1 minute into the show, why don't we just start by previewing the main event of Money in the Bank instantly, and then we'll just go
like it's hot,
and we'll just go downhill from there, just like Raw decided to start out. With the confrontation of Brock Lesnar, Samoa. You want to talk about giving the fans a little bit of interesting difference, an interesting diversion of what they've done in the past. And they let Samoa Joe become the number one contender, and then they let him square up face to face with Brock Lesnar and all that. And they're doing it at 10:05. I'm sorry, 8:05 Eastern time.
I mean, it's a hot open. Don't get me wrong, and it's something to get excited about. But holy crap! And I'm going to talk the other side of this. And I know you think this part of it sort of dumb, but maybe I can make my point to you and not necessarily convince you, but you can understand where I'm coming from on it. So my point is, this is SmackDown's week for a pay-per-view. And yes, I know we've already talked about it. It's the same company, so it's not like, I'm not necessarily saying, hey, they shouldn't step on SmackDown's pay-per-view, but I am kind of saying that because, and it's not about SmackDown versus Raw, it's about doing what makes sense in the time period, in the, if you want to say, news cycle, or in the arc of what's being of the story that's being told within the entire company. It's, if it is a single company, then think holistically and don't just shoot out of a cannon for Raw for something we're not going to see this weekend. Like if that was the opening segment for the go home of Great Balls of Fire, or before Great Balls of Fire, then I think you've still got a solid point. It should probably be the closing segment, not the opening, but at least it would make more sense holistically within what's going on in the company, in that that's what you're leading to. There's been this sort of rumor, prevailing thought that WWE thinks its fans can't remember anything, yet they're going to do this now and play it out between now and Great Balls of Fire, as opposed to, like, here comes the puns, really heating everything up right before like the week of Great Balls of Fire. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just great segment. Wrong time in the show, and what in the world are you doing from the arc of the story arc of what's going on in the company right now? I mean, this week should all be about opportunities, since they're always pushing this in such a superficial way anyway. Why not push women's opportunity a little more, or all the things that are happening like what Raw should have been about. More people getting opportunities, so that it leads your mind into what's going on with SmackDown and Money in the Bank, in my opinion. But anyway,
there's three things.
That's my thought on it.
There's three things about that, and again, I'm gonna say same company, but here's three better, not arguments, but better things of reasons why it doesn't offend me that they did what they did. One being ratings all-time low.
Okay.
Have to do something, have to stir the pot. Two,
Fair.
Great Balls of Fire is not that far away, and if they're going to do anything interesting at all, are we going to also play the taking Thunder away from SmackDown's pay-per-view week kind of thing? Because there's still a show that's got to come on and going hand in hand with number 1 is ratings. And number 3 is, it is kind of a reason and advertisement for Money in the Bank, because act now and you'll get not only Great Balls of Fire for free on the WWE Network, but you'll get SmackDown's Money in the Bank for free this Sunday. They're not trying to individually sell $50 pay-per-views anymore. They're trying to individually sell one $10 WWE Network subscription. So
those are all really, really good points. Really good points.
But my issue,
I'm still with you though. At the minimum, wrong time in the show to do it.
Why couldn't they tease this all show to get people hyped for an eventual confrontation? Maybe Samoa Joe does something backstage, gets kicked out or whatever, and then reemerges, and then they do the quote unquote typical. Well, actually, it's not even. I don't even think I have to say quote unquote, but the typical. We're gonna hold this one guy back. The other guy's gonna break free, jump on the pile, kind of thing. I mean, listen, I loved it because when have we ever gotten Samoa Joe versus some virtual, never has been in WWE? Everyone's always been established or fan favorite at whatever point in time. So, or legend beforehand. So it's a unique pairing and believable because of the way they've aside from his 2 losses to Seth Rollins, I mean, Samoa Joe's legacy in professional wrestling is that of a monster. So yep. it's a great pairing, and like, not even more so when they actually did get face to face, and they did the whole Samoa Joe Kurt Angle headbutt you right away kind of thing on the stare down, the way they did that in Impact Wrestling. Where I think Kurt Angle was the one doing the headbutt when they did the stare down and actually cracked Samoa Joe's nose wide open. So they kind of rehashed that. I'm not going to say steal from it, but they rehashed that. And it was awesome. But then it was over. And then I had, like, no offense to any individual I'm going to name right now, but then I had Cedric Alexander versus Noam Dar. Apollo Crews versus Kalisto, Elias Sampson versus Dean Ambrose in a bear suit that you all knew was coming. It just went downhill after this, with not even revisiting it at a point in time that Raw's ratings are notably worst ever. And, was Brock Lesnar only available from 8 to 8:13 that day? Is that the reason why we opened the show? Did we open the show to be different, to be hot, to be like, hey, don't sleep on this show. Don't miss the first hour. But then, like, hour 3 gave me, whatever it gave me, and I'm going to click every mouse button in the world. So I lost the card here. But, hour number 3 gave me a Luke Gallo, the Club versus Anderson and Cass match that I think lasted longer than the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro's 2 out of 3 Falls match, which started at 10:52 Eastern time, I believe. You know what I mean? It's like it was very front-loaded for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then the rest of the card felt like it never mattered. And even with champions involved in matches and a big 2 out of 3 Falls championship match to end the show, it felt like it just didn't matter. So I don't know. That's my take on it. But listen, you want to put our feelings aside about placement in the show and scheduling of what week it did happen. Like, it is pretty cool that Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar got face to face and got into it instantly. I'm very excited for that. I mean, one more thing. Its counter argument is we complain that this guy's never on TV, and when he is, all he does is stand in the ring while Paul Heyman talks. This is one of the few times he's actually mixed it up when he's been on Raw. So, negatives, but yeah, I mean, listen, I'm more better or worse, guyer or lower, I'm more guyer now that Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe are fighting than I ever have been before.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was an awesome segment. Like, I loved the segment. I just didn't understand, like I said, my point was its placement in relation to what's going on with the company. And then to your point, first on the show, like, seriously, if you take the schedule of what happened and exactly reverse it, or even if you take the 2 out of 3 falls match with tag match and put it first and have it be a draw, and then you put Brock and Joe last, I think the pacing of Raw, like, it just sets in motion a completely different thought process. You come in, it's like you said, you come in and it's so hot and it's so good, but then it's just like there's nothing left for you after that.
Not only that, there's no cliffhanger to next week's show.
Exactly. There's nothing. There's no reason to watch next week, because you know what we've seen? We've seen everything. I've seen everything I need to see of Joe and Brock to be ready for that fight now.
And who knows if Brock's even going to be back before the pay-per-view.
Good point, too. But I have seen every single thing I need to see in that encounter that I needed to see. Whereas they could have had Paul Heyman stringing us along for a couple of weeks and then had that segment. And holy crap, I can't miss Great Balls of Fire. I can't watch it on replay. I have to watch it when it happens. And yeah, it's just I don't know. But again, and the Hardys and Cesaro match would have been a great opener, because everyone loves seeing those guys fight. And it would be a little different because now we've got a 2 out of 3 falls match. And yes, it ends in a draw, but then that, the way they went off air, you could have gone to commercial and that would have been satisfying enough. It'd been like, wow, these guys are evenly matched and you're moving towards something, right?
There are two things about that, moving towards something. Start that match first, and you get a couple segments within the show that give, Kurt Angle some FaceTime about, like, what is he going to do about this, the ending, blah, blah, blah. And you can even intermix that with Samoa Joe interrupting the process.
Exactly.
To then build up to Brock Lesnar being on Raw. And, like, I'm sure I can pull up the archives on YouTube and find every single mention of Brock Lesnar and be like, well, of course, he shows up at 11:05, talks for 5 minutes, and that's it. Well, I mean, I don't want to be contradictory like I am every week, but not saying that we wanted him to show up at 11:05 and talk. We wanted this segment at the end of the show with a little bit of build-up, and then we could have just had a little bit of wind down from the other thing instead of, well, I guess there is a cliffhanger in what's going to happen with the tag team situation, but seeing those two teams wrestle 6 times, 7 times already, maybe more if we want to include singles matches. My anticipation, I don't find that as a cliffhanger. I just find that as Raw's schedule next week. And
well, you want another contradictory, or just another thing that we're sort of contradicting ourselves on?
Sure.
We want the tag team division to be more important. Well, they put the tag team in the main event and gave it and left it hanging for next week.
They also gave it like 8 minutes before the show technically goes off the air for 3 falls. So
yeah, so, but still, they still made it. They made it the main event.
Oh yeah,
and they made it actually like it's actually a continuing story as opposed to just a one-off thing or whatever. So that is making it a lot more important, and it makes you wonder, man, like the Hardys showing up seems to have changed, maybe not changed people's opinions, but someone in the back is like, I mean, we've got the Hardys, so we're going to use the Hardys, and we will build an entire division around the Hardys, even if it's just quote unquote nostalgia for people. it's going to work, and it is working.
Or
But
it's just a circumstance of Brock Lesnar needing to pick up his Jimmy Johns at 8:13 Eastern time, and he had to get off the air by then.
That's entirely possible.
So, how did you like the ending of the tag team match? Like, what possible outcome, positive outcome, do you want from that? Because they've already wrestled several times over with a stipulation.
I don't hate it, actually. The only thing that's a little weird to me is the idea of sort of the deja vu of it all, in that this is how Sheamus and Cesaro ended up together in the first place, was their series of 7 that ended in a draw.
Yeah.
And so it's
8-man tag champs.
That's sort of poetic.
So we're gonna have 8-man tag division coming up, and they're all gonna bro it out, and then we're gonna have.
I don't fully know where we're going, so I can't really answer that question. But it's one of those things where, on one hand, it seems a little derivative of what happened with Sheamus and Cesaro, but on the other hand, it seems a little poetic that's where we are too. So I actually kind of like the sort of artistic, sort of the writing aspect of it, the poetry of it. But I don't know where we're going. I don't know what this leads to.
If it led to one more match between the two, what kind of match would it be? Where would you have it, and what would you have the outcome?
Well, I mean, it would absolutely be a TLC match, right?
I'm assuming yes.
Yeah.
Even though that's how it basically all started between the two teams.
Yeah, but that's poetry in motion, Larry. No, that's poetic too. You come full circle. But
as big as this rivalry is, pun intended, not intended. As big as the rivalry is, actually, it's not really a pun because it's a different word. I have a feeling that the outcome of this rubber match, additional match, whatever it's going to be, is going to transition into something else. And you can say yeah about that.
Yeah,
because Revival's music says say yes.
It's about
and
yeah, right. Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be my thing is.
So what you're saying is they're going to go hard all day, all night.
No, I'm saying Revival is probably going to interrupt the next match. It's going to be a 3-way match thereafter for SummerSlam, or it's going to be a let's forget about the people who don't have the titles, and now Revival are interjected into the main event. Because if you think about it, every other tag team is tied up right now, except Slater and Rhino, but they kind of did their thing with The Miz and a Bear this week. The Club and Enzo and Cass and Show have their thing going on. Golden Truth is split up. We're gonna, revisit that at WrestleMania. And then I don't know who else is really around. I know we keep forgetting Rhino and Slater. They're a thing on Raw, but at least they were on TV this week in a good role, which I loved. I really do think that Revival may actually be the end. Like, this whole feud may just be a big stall for whatever. And not saying Revival's going to win the title, but
don't get me wrong.
What's that?
It's been a good stall.
Yeah, no, it has been, but I think it's been extended because they also they got 4 great competitors who they can just throw in and interchange and take up a good segment on TV, and then it's just build it up for like the distraction that's going to be. And would it make sense if the Revival attack Sheamus and interrupt the match, and Sheamus and Cesaro still have the titles? Well, if they're going to play up the Revival, think they're the best, then, little heel on heel action there would never hurt anybody, I guess. But
yeah, it'd be the new big dogs in the yard.
I'd probably be upset. Not upset, but I'd probably be like, I'd be numb to the fact that if there was a ladder match, TLC match at SummerSlam that involved the Hardys, Sheamus and Cesaro, and, in my world, the Revival, I'd probably be a little bit numb to that. Like, I don't think that would have its effects, because they've already had a cage match. They already had a ladders match at WrestleMania, I don't know what exactly they could do stipulation-wise that would trump what they've already trumped before, other than just adding a stipulation to it for no reason. But
Well, they could do elimination.
can we have our first ever in WWE 2 belts on the thing, and each individual member has to go up and grab it so that we can wind up with Sheamus and
Matt
Scott
Hardy.
Dawson
Oh yeah,
as
That'd be-
tag team
That'd be
champions?
amazing.
I mean, I've seen indies do that all the time, and I love it. But
I love it too. I love the idea of it, but it's a little too,
And
you
then-
know, it takes too much finagling of the story apparently for WWE to do something like that.
it's not safe enough, you know. And
Yeah.
again, and
That's the word.
and
That's exactly the word.
and I've said this a long time ago too. Like, why don't they do multiple matches with multiple things on the line, like the Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Miz and
The bear.
Neville. You know,
Okay.
and whoever gets the pinfall wins the other person's title. You know, kind of thing. And you just make it a big disqualification, so no titles change hands. But ECW, remember ECW did that? It was Sandman and TV champion Too Cold Scorpio versus the Public Enemy, who have the tag titles. Oh no, Sandman was heavyweight title. Whoever pinned somebody won their title.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, you've told me about that before, and I'm like, that would be so cool just to do
Yeah.
something, even if it was like, no pun intended, one night only, you know, where something like that would happen, and then everything would be reversed. You know, just it was sort of like, and this is maybe too comic book for WWE, but just have like a what if night where crazy things can happen, but everything gets reverted.
Cyber
after
Monday
that night. Yeah, Cyber Monday.
Cyber Tuesday, whatever their gimmick was, which I didn't actually think was that bad.
Yeah, and everything can change. Everything can change, but then it goes back. But then it gives you a gauge for how people react to something. If you do
Right.
something a little different, and then you can actually write that in a long arc, as opposed to just having to hotshot things. You just hotshot stuff for one night, but hit the reset button to back what it was before that night.
Forget the reset button. You can only
It's like live market research.
yeah, but you can selectively just have one of the titles affected by it through
Sure.
booking or through promotion, you know,
Yeah.
and then just let it happen. If it doesn't work, no retconning it or anything.
That's
just
a good point.
just
yeah, you can just
undo it by the
you have a plan to get out of it.
Yeah.
But before you do it. Yeah.
2 weeks later, just have the other person win on Raw or whatever, and then
Sure.
that's it. You know, experiment over, but now we know where the fans feel and stand. And it's
Sure.
never a good idea to let the fans dictate the booking, because they'll just see whatever they want to see. And
Right.
you know, and we'll segue over to SmackDown here. Then you get things like Jinder Mahal champion, and this is not a knock on that decision, him or anything, but just like back in the day when people were touting Sandow or anything else, it's like, do you realize that if things like this happen, then you're going to turn right around on your computer in your parents' basement and then complain about how the championship is never properly highlighted or is boring or worst champion ever kind of thing. And we are kind of seeing that now, like with Jinder Mahal champion. I mean, the segments aren't even the last segments on the show, and like, you know, I just, when the fans have a say, they're just going to go with the whoever WWE isn't pushing kind of angle. This guy deserves to be champion, and if ever that is the case, it's very rare where they're never like, oh well, worst champion, worst ratings ever, worst champion ever. I think booking does an overall good job, even if it's guys we don't like in the top, because majority of the people and merchandise sales probably prove otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No
That's all I
elaboration.
got. Is yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. That's all I got. Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, on the SmackDown side, we are.
You're like, I really wanted more than that. You're
kinda,
not helping
but-
me here.
Uh,
Sorry. I I thought you said everything that needed to be said.
So you saw that a little bit on SmackDown this week with Jinder Mahal doing, Jinder Mahal has been doing the same thing week in, week out, and that's fine, because he's your heel champion. He's a surprise guy with the title, and you need to kind of put him out there and get fans to really hate him. Like, if you hated him before, it really wasn't for the right reasons when it comes to like being a bad guy. You just kind of hated him because you didn't want to see him on TV, blah blah blah. So you got to give him.
It makes people mad to just hear the same thing over and over and over from a guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it really does, especially from a guy that you're supposed to hate, and you hate him because, like, you hate him for the wrong reasons, like you said, but because he doesn't deserve it or whatever. Why can't one of these other young guys get a
Why
push?
didn't Sami Zayn get the title then?
You're right, exactly.
That's my internet wrestling community voice.
Oh, I like it. But that it makes people mad initially because of that, but when he comes out and he just says the same thing over and over and he sounds sort of one note, and you're getting mad because it's like, see, this guy wasn't ready, all the other whatever people come up with to justify the fact that the company is doing, that they're hating that the company is doing exactly what they want. So people will come up with all these excuses for, see, he's one note, or they're not giving him any material, or he's not rolling with it. It's just like, so you still hate him. Sorry. So you still hate him, right? Then he's doing his job as a heel. A heel's job is not to be that guy that you fall in love with because he's so good. A heel's job, and I've said it before, Kevin Owens does it better than anybody, in my opinion. Well, I mean, The Miz makes you hate him better than anybody, but Kevin Owens is really good at, you get entertained by him as a heel, but then eventually when he flips the switch on somebody, like he's done on Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho, you're like, that guy's a dirtbag. Like, that character, I hate him right now. And he does it so convincingly. And to me, I think the modern day Maharaja is doing exactly what he should be doing, personally. So I
don't
expounded
disagree.
a little bit that time.
I don't disagree. And with Randy Orton as the challenger, I feel like the alternative to the guy who has the title that really, I guess, technically never should have ever had the title based on WWE legacy and the win-loss record. I think I'm rooting more for him than the guy who's had the title 13 times already. You know what I mean? So I think there's something to be said about maybe wanting the fans to hate Jinder Mahal based on the fans not wanting ho-hum, same hole, same hole. I mean, that's kind of what it is right now. It's kind of like guy who shouldn't have title, shouldn't be holding the title for the company versus the guy who, quote, is one of the select few that always holds the title for the company. And, what side do you want to be on? Well, we got to get people on Randy Orton's side because, this guy's not American. So let's have him speak in a language. He's Canadian, but let's have him speak Punjabi so we can pretend he's from India, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anything on SmackDown really get you fired up for Money in the Bank?
Not particularly. It's just everybody fight everybody who's going to be in matches this weekend already. Like we complain about all the time.
Like every TV show every week for some reason.
Yeah,
it's like that.
We can't. And if it was just the go home that was like that, fine, perfectly acceptable. But we saw the same thing last week. We saw the same thing the week before. So like there's nothing fresh about it. And going back to our original point, it was fresh to see Samoa Joe. Yeah. But this, to me, this supports my side of the complaint. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on it or anyone else. It's just, this is how I feel. We saw the freshest thing of the week in WWE for the very first segment of anything WWE this week, when we're going into one of the most pivotal pay-per-view, like what's become in a lot of fans' eyes, especially hardcore fans' eyes.
It's a fifth major.
A fifth major. Money in the Bank shifts the landscape of everything. And now you have a women's Money in the Bank. Like, and there's still the whole idea of what if someone can cash in on either show? Like there's that whole the whole idea that someone from the women's division on SmackDown could have the briefcase and show up and take the Raw Women's Championship.
No, they
at some
took that
point.
out of play.
They did.
The contracts
Did they
for a
say that?
SmackDown Women's Championship opportunity,
Well, that's lame. But anyway,
and the guys is for the world.
also lame.
Yeah.
But anyway, but still,
But-
it still
but
changes. It still changes the landscape of everything because there's this person walking around with an instant opportunity to win gold.
And it's
An
one of my
instant opportunity to win gold.
And that's one of my favorite things to have on the back of my mind. It's why I was so upset last year where Dean Ambrose cashed it in like an hour. Now I don't
you
have
did
that
say
anymore. That was taken from me for a whole year.
It was gone.
Yeah, that was taken from me for a whole year. The whole Dolph Ziggler cashing it in thing, the whole, I forgot Sheamus had the thing, and then all of a sudden he kicks Roman Reigns in the face and he's cashing it in. Seth Rollins doing it in a unique way and WrestleMania. How many moments have there been since Edge cashed it in at the end of, I think it was New Year's Resolution, something like that?
Revolution, I think.
Revolution.
And to Edge's credit, by the way, I heard him talk about that on their podcast recently, and because everyone has a podcast these days, no offense to schlubs like us, but that was kind of Edge's idea. Like the whole, I'm a heel, I should cash this in a heel way. I shouldn't, like, it was almost to the point where it was just going to be this throwaway thing that, and Money in the Bank has become major, huge thing because Adam Copeland sat down with Vince and said, I'm sort of the biggest heel in the company right now. It doesn't really make sense for me to just valiantly come in and say, or like make a noble match with this thing. Why don't I, we advertised it as this thing where you can get an opportunity whenever you want. Why don't I wait until the champs just totally beat down and then surprise everyone and walk in with the briefcase and just and blow people's minds that I am that big of a dirtbag? Because that's what a heel should do. That's what this thing says I can do. Why don't I do that? And it wasn't a huge sell because Vince was like, well, I mean, that kind of does make sense. Let's see how we can set it up. And so it was something that was originally going to be sort of a throwaway idea, and it's become, again, landscape shifting and pretty iconic in a lot of ways. So pretty cool. I mean, it's not all on him because there was all the setup for it, but if he wouldn't have spoken up on that, and that kind of goes back to something that we've talked about before, how many guys are actually speaking up on things that make sense for their character and stuff like that. Well, he came from an era where that's what you did. You protected your character, and the Rated R Superstar, the ultimate opportunist, that's what he was. And so that's how they played the briefcase, and it's changed the course of something that was probably just supposed to be throwaway.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely one of my favorite things of the year. Like Royal Rumble. I always list Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and the Raw after SmackDown, Raw after WrestleMania as my favorite events of the year, and maybe a fourth would be either of the season premieres, whether it's the first one in January or the one in September that they highly tout as being a season premiere of Raw.
Yeah,
whichever one whichever one, both of them, I guess.
Sometime around sweeps, basically.
Right.
I will say now, just to sort of backpedal on one thing, SmackDown in and of itself as a show this week was solid. It was great in my opinion.
And here comes my point.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Picking back and go off your point from several minutes ago, was we liked Joe, we liked Lesnar. I mean, that was unique. That was fresh for us.
Yeah, we're going back to that same point, aren't we?
Well, I was going to say it back then. And then here we have everyone wrestling everybody for the event. Anyway, there's no feeling like what happens when these two finally get their hands on each other, because we've had 3 weeks of every combination of every person in every match. You know, whether it's the men or the women in the Money in the Bank match, whether it's Dean Ambrose and the Miz. I don't even know if that. I don't even think that's a match for this Money in the Bank.
That's Raw. That's Raw.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They're
I
on
forget
Raw
that's
now.
Raw because they were SmackDown for so long.
Sure.
But we get. Can't even believe I said that. But
It's okay.
we get every combination of every wrestler in every match, and you know, you look at
Well,
this.
I mean, and we've even gotten Naomi and Lana multiple times since, and yeah, that's been a 2-week build, but we see them in every segment together since then.
Yeah, and I think that's
Because everyone's gonna forget.
but I think that's the lesser of the case, because I think with that
Fair
we're
enough.
just kind of like, oh, you know, I can't wait to they get their hand on each other. I think
That's a good point.
I think that because they never had an official match, they
That's
just
a good
had
point.
2 run-ins.
That's
Everything
it. You're
else,
right. You're right.
6-man tag, 6-woman tag team match, and the other people have been split up into a singles match, and it's been that way. And we complain about this every week, but every week we have a new reason to complain about it, because it happens again.
Because they keep doing it.
Whereas like Joe and Brock Lesnar, it's not going to be Joe and you know, Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. You're not going to see that.
That's
You're going to
true.
see Joe versus Brock Lesnar. You know, you're going to see Kurt Hawkins versus Samoa Joe, maybe. You know, you're going to see somebody out there that Joe's going to destroy. And you're going to see Brock Lesnar promos like he's going to be at the pay-per-view, and he's going to be on the sidelines and not be at the show. So you're going to have that next time they get their hands on each other, it matters kind of feel. But hey, listen, I mean, with Mayweather and the other guy, McGregor, fighting,
McGregor. Yeah.
WWE needs to do something here.
That's true.
And
That's a good point. That's
and
solid, actually.
whether it's Joe and Lesnar doing it, or whether it's like now they have to make this huge arcing storyline, because one fight's not gonna outshadow wrestling for any. Wrestling's been around between and before and after big fights before, all, you know, for as long as it's been around. But on a stale decline here with ratings and such, don't be surprised if something major happens on Raw. And by major, meaning like let's pick up the phone and call everyone from the Attitude Era and see how many people we can get back this summer to fill the ring. And this is not based on rumor or anything. It's just, you know, based on WWE's history of, you know, let's call Batista, let's call Brock Lesnar.
We need some attention. Yeah.
Well,
Batista has said very recently there's only one thing he's coming back for, and so they would have to put that on the table. So
yeah, well,
yeah.
So that's it. But I guess we'll get into Money in the Bank here. We don't have to stall any longer for
Sure,
any of
let's
these things. Let's start off with the tag team on the pre-show. Are you hyped for?
Why is this on the pre-show? This. No, this makes sense. Sorry, I thought you were saying the title match was going to be.
No. The Hype Brothers versus the Colognes on the thing. This is just Colognes being the Colognes again, where they're just gonna
be jobbers to the stars.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
and they should be superstars, like
and I thought,
lowercase superstars.
And I thought on SmackDown they had a good presence about them in that match. It made me think like, oh, maybe they aren't just the bottom feeders of the tag team division. You know, maybe we can still have the Ascension be that. And maybe they're actually relevant, because the way they came out during that 8-man tag match and the mic time that they had and all that, I thought it was pretty good. And then I see this match, and I'm like, all right, well, this is just now a way to either A, you want to call this the Jack Link's Beef Jerky heel turn of the night, we might be able to do this.
Ooh, yeah, it could be.
Even though it is pre-show.
It is Return of the Zack, as he's advertised it. So
they're either going to lay down for the Hype
Empire.
They're either going to lay down for the Hype Brothers, or Zack might take a few liberties on Mojo and do the whole I was out of action jealousy kind of thing. While I was out of action, you were winning the Battle Royal, blah, blah, blah. No one called me kind of thing. And, you know, if that happens, then poor form on them for putting it on the pre-show, because they already act like it doesn't matter. But, you know, would you rather
that's a good point.
Would you rather the Hype Brothers just winning in a basic, obvious victory over the Colognes, or the Colognes winning and Zach and Mojo feuding because the whole boo-hoo, I was injured, no one cared thing.
I would like option C, please, where the Colognes just are no good dirty heels and win the crap out of the match. That's what I would like to see.
Because Mojo and Zach haven't teamed in a while, and they have no chemistry right now, and
Sure.
the better team that have been teaming their whole life were able to win.
Okay, I like that. But they still play dirty. As long as they're still cheaters, and all of that's true, I'm happy with it.
Okay,
that's what I would prefer. But I'm gonna pick the Hype Bros win.
I think I'm gonna go with that, and then like one of your things is you like to always mention when the seed gets planted.
Sure.
Let's plant the seed during this match and have Hype Bros win, and then eventually later on, if they want to split them up, we can lead it all back to whatever happened in their ring that day.
But again, we're unanimous in hating the way the Colognes are used because they should be top guys in the company. They really should be, in my opinion.
I'm not sure, because when they were top guys, I really wasn't high on them as the casual fan. But I don't think that they should.
But weren't they wearing Puerto Rican luchador costumes at the time?
No, it was actually before that, when they had the tag team championships and were never on TV.
Okay, so
they were only on WrestleMania pre-shows.
Just guys with the titles.
They had guys with, they were quote unquote top guys, because the only tag teams back then were, I think, were like, The Rock and Cena tagging up one time only, or whatever it was. Let's talk women's Money in the Bank here. So 2 questions. Let's approach this from 2 different ways, and we'll do the same with the men. Who should win, and who do you think would win? And if they're the same, then they're the same.
This is tough. This is tough to call. I don't know if I know who should win. Okay, who should win? Charlotte. Who probably will win, and I still have no problem with it, and I think it makes the most business sense? Carmella. Like, I think it makes... it's sort of the same answer for me. I think it's Carmella for both questions. But the movie, though. Oh, does that play a factor?
The Psych movie?
It could.
Well, that comes out in 5 months. They can always redo whatever they do.
Yeah, but it's the Money in the Bank briefcase, Larry. She can have it for 5 months. Charlotte could be carrying that
I'm
thing
just saying
for
that
5 months.
other people could win it, cash it in beforehand, and then Charlotte could take her place on top in the 5 months. So it could work both ways with that one.
So you've heard it both ways.
I've heard it both ways, but I 100% agree that looking at the 5 people involved, like, Tamina has no shot, and I'm sorry. Maybe I would like to see her win it just because what did they do with it? But I don't even think they do anything interesting with it anyway, and I think fans don't care, and that's unfortunate. Natalya would be a little overbearing with the briefcase. I mean, she's had her time, and she's never really... She might be the most heelish of them all, but persona-wise. Becky Lynch, well, I don't know if Becky Lynch technically needs the briefcase to ever get an opportunity at the title, and Charlotte as well. But then you have Carmella, the person who probably doesn't deserve it, the person with an annoying sidekick partner manager. And I just think entertainment-wise, like James Ellsworth running to the ring with the briefcase and getting knocked out by whoever, Naomi.
Yeah, everything from a big boot to a super kick to a Bexplex to a sharpshooter. I mean, yeah,
clothesline from hell from JBL coming to the ring and
yeah, that's good too. I mean, like the hilarious antics are. Yeah, I mean the entertainment value of that is amazing.
And even him being the catalyst for cashing it in, where he runs out there and she doesn't come out.
Yeah, she's not even there. Like, she's out to eat or something. Like they show her at a restaurant and he's running out with the briefcase, wondering where she is.
Yeah, or they run halfway down the ramp and then she realizes the other person's getting back up and she leaves and he continues on and then again it gets beat down. I just think there's comedic and entertainment reasons for Carmella winning it, And then for everyone else, I think it's just either ho hum or it's I don't care kind of
Or it's
stuff.
unnecessary.
Or it's unnecessary.
For Charlotte and Becky, it's completely unnecessary. The other two, like you said,
except
Tamina,
for like a resume kind of thing, like they won Money in the Bank.
Yeah, which
first ever Money in the Bank.
I don't think either of them need that in any way, form, or fashion.
But just think of WWE calling them the first ever Money in the Bank briefcase contract winner. That goes on forever.
I think this will. I think the entertainment factor is there with Carmella, especially with Ellsworth in tow. There's also the whole he could get stuck at airport security with the briefcase.
Oh, so she can never cash it in,
and so she can't cash it in. Like
they're stretching out Naomi and it's her opportunity, and she's on the phone. Where are you? You know.
Yeah. I mean, all the dumb stuff they can do with it, and it would be fun and funny and something interesting for the ladies because there's never any humor with the ladies, by the way. So this would be a good way to do that. That's one thing that's gotten lost in the women's revolution is any sense of levity. And so this could add that, and that's a good thing, in my opinion. The other thing, I will say from a business standpoint, putting that first ever stamp on Carmella will speak volumes. Even if it is all for a bunch of comedy for months, it's still you're still putting her name beside that honor, and that's a we'll know if she's actually impressed people. Yet, because it seemed like it almost seemed like they took her off TV for a little bit. So, but then they would still find ways to mention her, and then they would have her in the press box and all the other weird stuff they've done with her. Yeah.
So here you go. Ready?
So anyway,
Chris Jericho.
I think that could be a big deal.
Chris Jericho, Finn Balor, TJP. These are all first evers, and at the point in time, maybe nobody ever thought that they'd be first ever, and it'd go to somebody more comfortable, more established in the company. So first ever has never been something. First ever title champion, title holder, whatever, has never been something the WWE has been known to just hand out to the top stars, and that can work both ways. That can mean anybody can win, or that can mean like, you know, if they give it to Charlotte, well, then they never really only give it to the top people. Sometimes they give it to, you know. Now
that's true, and it goes a long ways toward
takes out of predictability.
Well, but that goes a long ways toward what Vince has said when he did the Stone Cold podcast, and what a lot of people have echoed over the years, ever since before then and since then, that he gives people opportunities, and it's their job to make something with it. And so this could be, like you said, it's not necessarily a stamp of approval. It's okay, let's see what you do with this. And so I still think Carmella is the best choice. I think it's either, like you said, two people who don't really matter or two people who don't really need it. And then there's Carmella.
So I think going back to the original question, who probably should win it, my answer is going to be Carmella, just based on that's going to entertain me in my living room.
Yes.
Who's going to win it? I'm going to say Charlotte, and I'm not going to be mad about that. I think the good girl Charlotte persona is going to be very short-lived, and I think that's been even rumored and talked about a couple months ago when it first started playing each other.
Sure.
Talking about that. And, Charlotte having the title and Naomi looking over her shoulder, or whoever has the title looking over her shoulder at all times, that could be kind of fun. But again, I think more entertainment, more bang for the buck. I think Carmella with the title and doesn't have to win the championship, but many months of trying to cash it in, I think would be very amusing. And
has it been quashed yet that there is the opportunity for someone else to be in this match on the table in any way, form, or fashion that we know of?
Yes.
Even through rumor mill?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that could change.
It could be kayfabe.
Yeah,
It
that's
could be
true.
somebody just talking for the sake of talking and just saying, like, yes, I would love to be there. And then somebody spinning it towards, like, oh, maybe could be there.
Yeah.
And I'm open to talking about it if you want to.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Talk about it?
Go.
Nikki Bella.
Mm.
The last thing I was going to read, then I decided not to read it before we went on the air, was a thing that said Nikki Bella. Hold on a second. You on an airplane? Nope, you're gone. Your mic just did its thing, and I had to mute you. So hit me up on Discord if you come back. So the last thing I was looking at for the sake of clarity here, and I know you wanted to hear this, and it looks like you are back. Let me unmute you now. Hello, you back?
Maybe.
You went
Better?
into full. I just turned on the overhead vent in my airplane
Sorry.
cabin mode.
I'm
And,
gonna have to reinstall the drivers for this. I apologize. It's I guess it's just the reinstall screwed up the drivers or something like that when I had to reinstall Windows a few weeks back. So that's all I can figure. I
So,
apologize
no
to
problem.
everyone's ears.
So I got it before. It was just like you turned on the overhead
Cool.
vent in an airplane kind of sound.
It's
and
just
yeah, it was like guy, did you just go to the bathroom and flush? Like kind of would sound like to me. The reason why I didn't read the article I was saying was because it was just a video of Nikki Bella and was not an article. So she posted something and she teased an appearance in the Money in the Bank match, but that could just be person staying relevant, staying on the forefront, giving like a little smoke and mirrors for the sake of clarity. There could be other people that could debut and appear in this match, although I doubt it. And I won't mention those people's names, but I was thinking call up as well. Somebody just showing up.
Well, my thought was, what if they do the crazy thing and Lana somehow sneaks a win on Naomi before this match happens? It'd be interesting for Naomi to be walking around with the briefcase then. Or even vice versa. Naomi retains and Lana says, well, I still want an opportunity at that. I still want to show that I can win that championship. Put me in the ladder match, and then maybe she wins.
I wouldn't be upset with that because that goes along with the whole aura of Money in the Bank. And when I was thinking about what order should we talk about this, well, I'm like, well, let's do the women first, and then do the women's championship match later in the card, so that it's on everyone's mind that could that person cash it in, because I don't see the men's being anything but the main event of the show. I don't see Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton being after that match. So we have to have that we have to have that tease of will they cash it in or not cash it in. And I think we're going to get that with the women. But reversed, if somehow they put the title on Lana, I would like for Naomi to be in the match. Sure, absolutely. Why not? She's mad. She probably got screwed, whatever. I don't think I'd like that for the sake of knowing that she's going to try to turn it around and cash it in ASAP as well. So, like, next SmackDown, or, like, the title's going to be... the
well, you don't like it. You don't like the briefcase being out of play like that.
The briefcase is going to be out of play within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks' time, unless Lana just, turns chicken and runs at every opportunity. But then Lana would be your champion, and... who knows what that would... That's a huge unknown right now, and I don't know. But if the case, yeah, I'd love to see that. I would have loved to see Lana just added to this match and done away with... And then she could have showcased a few things during the match.
It's a lot of blonde, but yeah.
Well, I think she has different hair color now, doesn't she? Who has different hair color now? Somebody does.
Hers is still blonde.
Is it? All right. Well, somebody has a different, like a purple now.
Yeah, that's Tamina. It's on the screen.
No, it wasn't Tamina. It was somebody else had a full-on purple, like Sasha Banks, even though like hers progressed more to red. Like she had a full-on purple hairdo, but I'll remember who that is in a second. But all right, we'll move on here to the next match. Tag team title match: New Day versus the Usos. I'm gonna go with the Usos here.
I'm gonna say the Usos retain, but I suspect this will be a great match because these guys typically put on a great match. Honestly, you say New Day carried the tag team division, what there was of it for a year, but I mean the Usos were right there with them. The Usos probably would have had the titles for a quarter of New Day's record-breaking reign had Jay not gotten injured at the Mania before that. So yeah, I mean it's like, I don't even think it's the whole La Familia thing with the Usos. I just, it's not even their characters. I've noticed recently they are ridiculously good. They're really, really good. They're really good. They're very technically sound, and then they add high flying to it, and now they've got amazing characters on top of it. I love the Usos. I love the work they're doing in every way, not just this new character and them running the penitentiary, which is awesome that WWE even has some sort of reference to prison, that they're actually willing to go that far with something these days in their safe culture. But yeah, I dig it. I dig that they're thugs, but I love their work, and the New Day always finds some way to impress me in every match they're in. I just hope they give them time. I hope they give them. I mean, it's not like it's a huge card, so they should have time. But I really hope they give these guys a showcase time slot and a showcase time allotment. But I still pick the Usos to win.
I think the Usos are one of the best things. Was letting them have the mic and giving them a vocal personality. And I think it was too many months after they turned on American Alpha for that to happen. Because when they turned on American Alpha, or just jumped the fence, so to speak, and attacked American Alpha after the match, they really never had that heel steam thereafter. It was just they did it. They took down one. And by the way, American Alpha is a very forgettable team all of a sudden. I don't know why. Is anybody hurt?
I was wondering that too, but I
Right.
meant to bring something up earlier. Just super side note. I think it'd be interesting, since we haven't seen American Alpha on SmackDown in a while, and you mentioned how the Raw tag teams are pretty busy. I think it'd be interesting if all of a sudden the shakeup wasn't over, and we got to see some of the amazing Revival American Alpha matches on Raw. I think it would be interesting if they jumped over and said, hold up. We know one team that beat you guys, and it's us. And they got to be the cocky young upstarts that everyone knows and loves, that is American Alpha. But that's my side note.
So ever since
Because I think there's enough going on SmackDown that they don't need to be there, especially since they don't seem to want to use them anyway.
right, and ever since the Usos did attack the American Alpha, it kind of served. There was steam, and the air was let out of the boat, or whatever the analogy is, almost instantly. They never capitalized on the Usos being ultra heels at that time, and they never built up the fan favorite. They never played on the fan favoritism that the fans showed American Alpha. But now we got the Usos playing it up, and while I love their promos, something about their promos a little off to me. I guess in the way they end it. I'm just not on board on how it ends.
It was flat. Everyone kind of flattened out this week. It was really
but
strange.
Not just this week, but the whole if you feel the hair standing on your neck, that's not whatever. That's the Usos. I just don't like that ending to that ultra serious street promo.
I got you.
Where it just brings it back to a catchphrase and making fans chant along with them, kind of thing. But everything else is very solid, where they just kind of just talk real and tell them what they're going to do about it, and again, like you said, like thugs.
And I like that they're straight up mocking the New Day now, that's a little different, which may actually get them over more.
It might, because depending on who you were, you might have been sour on the New Day. But I'll go with the Usos here as well. I don't know if it'll be the best match on the show.
I hope it's really good, though.
Yeah, I just hope it does tag team wrestling justice because, I like the diversity of there being good tag team matches and good singles matches and good gimmick matches all on the same card, and
Yep.
we got a few of each here. Speaking of the women's title, Lana versus Naomi. I can't find who has the purple hair, and I guess it
It's
is.
really starting to bother you.
Yeah, I guess it is Tamina because I'm looking through the roster and I really can't. Because I saw it, I'm like, man, they actually gave somebody a similar color to somebody else, and then I noticed Sasha's a little bit more red now and not purple, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're completing the rainbow, so it must be Tamina because I looked up and down the roster, but this match right here, I guess if it goes like, do we have a different winner if this happens first as opposed to being second?
It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. It's like it seems like you do. It seems like if this match goes on before the ladder match, there's plans to do something a little different and creative, which I'm totally on board with. Even if that makes the ladder match a little more predictable, where it's just like, oh, well, the person who lost that other match, they're going to win this now. I'm still okay with that because then I want to see how they get there, So it's like when you watch a TV show and they show you the ending first, and you're like, how did we get here? And that's what the whole show is about, is how did we get, or even a whole season is how did we get here? And I like that storytelling device from time to time, but I kind of want to see this match before the ladder match. I kind of do, and just see where they go with it. That feels more intriguing to me, and makes it hard to call this match in and of itself.
I don't want the briefcase cashed in. I think we established that until April next year. But I think you're gone again. That is bad. Hold on. Yeah, I have to mute you again. But I think that just a straightforward Lana needed to prove herself kind of match here is definitely what should happen. But eventually Naomi should just win the match. I don't think there should be any long-standing ramifications of this match pertaining to the women's Money in the Bank match. But we'll see what happens there, and I believe you may be back. Hello.
Yeah, there we go.
So I just said that I don't think this match. I think this match should probably operate in the bubble, with the whole aside that maybe the person who wins, if it comes on first, should make their presence known on the ramp, but then just embed it in their mind, not actually cash it in and then just walk away, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the best for that. So I think
Naomi to everyone's ears again.
I think Naomi wins, and I think that we get maybe a little bit of a tease, or the announcers really humping the fact that whoever wins could come out now to do it, and it never happens. So
yeah, sure.
All right.
I'm gonna pick Lana just to do something really weird. I think it's weird that they put her in this match so quickly, but she must be really putting in some work. And what she did in the ring, it was nice that we didn't just get a kick from her this time. We saw an actual wrestling hold.
I think she put that move on Summer Rae back in the day when they played that whole thing up with her and Ziggler.
Did they?
I think so.
Did she?
I think so.
Oh, well, it looked good this week. So
yeah, well, listen, it's consistent to the move she does that knocks people out. So Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal.
The modern day Maharaja.
Typical WWE booking would make me think that Randy Orton gets this one back, but I just don't think it's going to go that way this time. I think that this is not a repassing of the title back to Randy Orton, and we did what we did to shake things up, and now we're just going to give the title back to somebody who's more reputable, can put the asses in seats, quote unquote. I think this is going to really solidify another month of Jinder Mahal being the champion, and maybe even going into WrestleMania. And I have my theory about that. But who do you think is going to win this match? I'm going to say Jinder Mahal.
I'm going to double down with you, and I'm going to say that it's actually typical booking that makes me think that, because Orton stood tall.
Oh, that's right. Orton got the last RKO to go
Yeah.
into the show. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, and so traditional booking would say that the Maharaja hangs on to this, and maybe Orton just gets some RKO's on the Sings, and
Walks right into it again, the same way he lost the title.
sure, I'm okay with it. But again, it makes you hate Jinder if they one note him more often. And again, I don't have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with Jinder Mahal as the champion. We need a good heel champion that people hate, and they hate him for a while.
My only problem with Jinder Mahal as champion is the company doesn't feel like they can make that the driving force behind the main event, the closing of the show, make the most important focal point of any part of the weekly show. It's always got to be in the middle, and then we always got to take the U.S. title or the number one contenders, and put the spotlight on them, and like just forget about the fact that we have an actual champion right now. That's more of
that's legit point.
But that's hand in hand with ratings as well. Like, if he is closing shows, if he is headlining pay-per-views, are we looking back at this and saying this is the lowest point the WWE's ever sunk to in 2007 and you're gone again? That's pretty bad. But yeah, I'm gonna quickly go through this and wrap this one up so we can end it, because Duke's having a lot of mic trouble. So I just think Jinder Mahal is like, when they put the title on him, it's probably expected that worst champion ever moniker, but the shock of it all was really good, so I have no complaints about that. But I just like them to focus a little bit more on the current champions rather than number one contender or the secondary belts. But I will say Jinder Mahal does win this one as well. All right, we'll do this last time. Hello, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, let's go right to the...
I think I figured out the problem.
All right, let's go right to the main event of the match before it happens again.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize.
The Money in the Bank match between, the 6 guys and one of them holding a championship that they don't like to put on pay-per-views anyway. Who wins? The same question as the women. Who wins and who should win?
Who wins? I think it's Kevin Owens. Who should wins? Should wins. Wow. Baron Corbin, in my opinion.
So Baron Corbin and
I'm just picking. I'm sort of just picking the rookie every time, or like the lowest man on the totem pole, in my opinion.
Not just you. I think I am, and Vegas odds show Baron Corbin and Carmella have the best odds to win.
I think they make sense as up and comers, and again, we talked about the entertainment value of Carmella, but man, I love Baron Corbin. I love what he's doing.
Right,
and
the heel having the briefcase, cashing it in anytime.
I mean, that's how it works. It like, I'm sure plenty of people will say, no, it's Sami Zayn's time. It's Sami Zayn's time. Like a babyface with the perennial babyface with the briefcase just doesn't work.
The only way it works is when he gets taken out and he's made the underdog, and of course, that's his nickname, but he has the briefcase and somebody just keeps taking him out, and he keeps getting in these secondary feuds, and then one day, one time, he's in the right place at the right time while his opponent's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he pops the crowd. And listen, there's something to be said about Sami Zayn winning this briefcase and then getting people excited one day if everything else is going stale.
The anticipation of Sami Zayn cashing that in. Okay, I take it back. The one babyface at this point, and maybe the only babyface besides Daniel Bryan, and he's right there in the same category as Daniel Bryan. So the one babyface outside of Daniel Bryan that people would just go unbelievably bonkers for is Sami Zayn. So I'll say he is a viable choice. He's a viable choice. But I still think it's Baron Corbin is who should win.
I don't think we get both Carmella and Baron Corbin, because I think again the safe word is going to come into play here at one point. If Charlotte
balance it,
if Charlotte wins, Baron Corbin wins. If You know, if Carmella wins, then I might say even Sami Zayn wins, even though I don't want him to win, just because of that whole like, well, secondary role thing. You can have him carry that around and just like, you know, make people talk about it. But also at the same time, if ever there was a feeling of SmackDown being stale, booking being stale, writing being stale, it's the ultimate shakeup is just let Sami Zayn have his moment. Fans pop, place goes crazy, the internet, you know, goes crazy, and then you can just take it off of them. You know, you can just do exactly the reasons I read to you beforehand about Dolph Ziggler and McMahon saying that we'll have him win, but we're not pushing him as champion. Well, because we're just going to make the crowd go nuts, kind of deal. Well, here you go. Here's another situation, and probably the only person in this match where that could kind of happen. Not saying the fans wouldn't pull behind AJ or Nakamura cashing it in, but just like you said with Becky and Charlotte, they don't need it. You know, wrestling doesn't need that. They win. They're out there every week. Sami Zayn is the one that's never getting the opportunity or never seems to have a chance. And now here's you know, he...
Holy crap, Larry. So 6 months from now, or however long the Maharaja plays out
at Starrcade, yes.
Yeah, and Orton or whatever happens. The next big deal is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens wins the championship, and Sami Zayn's music hits with the briefcase.
So Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens has the championship for literal seconds.
I mean, can you imagine? Just I think any place, anywhere would just come unglued. Like just the utter, the full circle, just vengeance, ultimate revenge.
It depends. For me,
and then he loses.
And then he loses. For me, it depends.
I mean, come on. I would love it. I would love even the losing part, even though I would like to see him win it. Holy crap. That story just writes itself at that point. The
story's already played itself out, though. You know what I mean?
I maybe, but if he loses, it doesn't.
There's not a single time Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens can wrestle one-on-one anymore where I'm just like, not again, because they've already implanted it in my mind. Not again, because they've already done it one last time, 3 times already.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, so maybe when you say in 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, well, you really maneuver Owens toward it. Like it's a very long process to get him there, where you don't really even see it coming. He just sort of inserts himself into a title picture at some point and freaking wins it.
Well, you got to have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens not in the same ring at the same time ever, and then they only seem to be able to do that like every 2 weeks.
That's a good point.
And then they add the other one to the other person's match and interchange their match in a tag team match for the next upcoming pay-per-view.
But I still love the poetry of it.
Yeah, I you know, 3 years of Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in every level for every title. I've kind of, I guess, cooler with the Money in the Bank and cooler based on. But if Sami Zayn loses, then what? They're going to rematch. They're going to do it again. If Owens loses the title to Sami Zayn's cash-in, they're going to do it again. Like, again, we're in the same point.
That's true. And then we get back on the Ferris wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the day and age when we talk about you know, them being stale, them being played out, them everybody doing everything, and then we talk about, like, you know, they don't let us forget what happens. They think we forget what happens last week. I mean, I don't forget that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens fought 800 times. You know, definitely don't do that. So,
yeah,
so I don't need another couple months of that or whatever. But in 6 months down the line,
Baron Corbin
coming out and kicking anybody in the face when they're down, I mean, that's your heel scenario, more heel scenario than Carmella having the title, which is probably going to be more comedic and opportunist. This is going to be more vulgar and violent.
Yeah, just dirty. Yeah, which I'm okay with either one of those.
All right, so ultimate winner of this match?
I think it should be Corbin, but I almost feel like it's going to be Kevin Owens.
If Mahal retains, I'm gonna say Nakamura. And,
Okay.
And I'm not happy with saying that, but I'm trying to picture anybody else in this ring with Jinder Mahal, and I don't. I guess you take out the heels. Sami Zayn versus Jinder Mahal for the title. Well, I mean, it's not going to be a pre-announced match, but so I guess it doesn't really matter that I'm sizing it up like one. I just think that Nakamura, he can do funny things while holding the briefcase, and I think Vince McMahon would get a kick out of that. Just like doing body convulsions and shaking and stuff while
biting it.
Yeah, while the other hand is holding the title, and I could definitely see Vince McMahon getting a kick out of that. So I feel like that's the thing. If Orton wins, I wouldn't be that opposed to Ziggler winning, actually.
Yeah, we haven't really seen that a lot, have we?
Orton versus Ziggler?
Yeah, that's actually surprising that we haven't seen a bunch of that.
I'll have to do some research on that. I don't feel like I have, but then they wrestled like every week while Orton was preparing to fight somebody else during one of Ziggler's get no respect kind of days. But I will say again, Carmella and Baron Corbin, and you kind of say Carmella and Baron Corbin, and the internet says Carmella and Baron Corbin. I just don't. And I
haven't even been on the internet this week.
I just don't feel like both would win. But the
wrestling internet.
I think one of them is guaranteed to win. So.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Should be fun. What's your level of excitement from a level of 1 to Geyer?
Half Geyer, I would say, but I will say I expect this show to be a lot better than I expect it to be.
Yeah, I just like that this show has a meaning thereafter, where other shows kind of end. This one
has. That's a good point, and that's what the beauty of Money in the Bank.
Yeah, that's what I really like about this. So.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. Maybe my mic won't go out while I'm closing this. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry. Bye.
Bye.